It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue.
Breaking news, and we're hearing just in the last few minutes that the professional wrestling and entertainment star Hulk Hogan has died in the US.
It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Breaking news, and we're hearing just in the last few minutes that the professional wrestling and entertainment star Hulk Hogan has died in the US. What if Hulk Hogan's death wasn't natural? What if it were something far more sinister? When the FBI entered his mansion, they found evidence that no one expected. A clean gym, malfunctioning security, and a mysterious hidden room. What did they uncover, and what could it? What does this mean for Hogan's legacy? Stay tuned as we reveal the shocking details of what was hidden behind closed doors. The morning of July 24th, 2025 started like any other. News broke out of Clearwater, Florida, that legendary wrestler Hulk Hogan, real name Terry Gene Boa, had been found unresponsive in his mansion. Official reports quickly declared a heart attack as the cause of death, a natural end for a man who had given so much to the wrestling world. But as investigators combed through Hogan's home, they discovered something unsettling. What started as a simple case of natural death would soon unravel into a mystery no one saw coming. Hogan's mansion, located in Clearwater, had always been a symbol of his larger-than-life persona. However, when the first responders arrived at the scene, they found something strange. The gym, where Hogan spent countless hours working out, was spotless. The equipment, usually scattered with sweat towels and water bottles, was arranged perfectly, as if no one had been there for days. For someone known for his rigorous routine, this was highly unusual. Investigators immediately noted that this was more than just a routine death scene. The gym, his personal sanctuary, looked as though it had been staged, and the eerie silence in the house raised questions. Why had the gym been cleaned before emergency services arrived? What was someone trying to cover up? As investigators continued their search, they turned their attention to the security system, one of the most advanced in the area. Hogan had always been cautious about privacy, and as the house was equipped with state-of-the-art cameras, motion detectors, and an alarm system designed to prevent tampering. But when the FBI reviewed the footage, something didn't add up. The system had been manually disabled from inside the house by someone with knowledge of the house's security features. No power outages, no technical failures, just someone with the codes and access to shut it down. This raised a huge red flag. Why would someone disable the system? Was Hogan involved in something that made him feel unsafe? Or is someone close to him trying to hide something? Then investigators made a discovery that would change the course of the investigation. Behind a seemingly ordinary wall in the basement, they found a hidden room untouched in property records and completely unknown to anyone outside Hogan's inner circle. Inside, the room was meticulously organized. Files were stacked neatly, labeled and categorized. Some of the papers were medical records. Others appeared to be financial statements, but there were also documents that hinted at something darker. One file was marked with a date only 24 hours before his death. Why had Hogan kept these papers in such a secretive place, and who had access to them in the days leading up to his sudden death? Just 3 days before his death, Hogan received a mysterious phone call in the middle of the night. According to his wife, Sky Daly, Hogan's reaction was unlike anything she had seen before. He was visibly shaken, pale, disturbed, and silent. He didn't share the details of the conversation, but his demeanor suggested something was deeply wrong. When investigators traced the call, they found something bizarre. The call had been routed through multiple servers, making it almost impossible to trace its origin. This was no ordinary phone call. It was deliberately hidden, possibly by someone who didn't want to be found. The timing was also suspicious. 3 days before his death, Hogan's mood had drastically changed. Was this call a warning, a threat, or did it contain information that Hogan was afraid to confront? Hogan's personal life had always been complex, filled with both public glory and private struggles. His relationship with his daughter Brooke had been notably strained in recent years, particularly after his highly publicized divorce from Linda in 2007. Their once close relationship had fractured over time with Brooks' absence, from significant family events becoming more noticeable. The tensions between them had escalated after the controversial release of a sex tape involving Hogan, leading to an emotional rift that some felt was irreparable. Even though Hogan had publicly expressed regret over the fallout with his daughter, the damage seemed done. But it wasn't just Brooks' absence that raised eyebrows, it was the handling of his estate after death. When Hogan's will was revealed, it shocked many that Brooke was completely excluded from inheriting any part of his estate. Instead, his son Nick was named the sole heir, inheriting Hogan's entire fortune, estimated at nearly $5 million. This decision stirred up even more speculation, especially considering the fact that Nick had spent years in the public eye as part of their reality show Hogan Knows Best. But Brooke had always been a more private figure. The question on many people's minds, was this exclusion the result of lingering family conflict, or was there something more? Could financial disagreements or old resentments have been a motivating factor behind Hogan's decision? The fact that Brooke was left out entirely was a clear indication that something deeper had soured their relationship in the final years. For investigators, these inheritance issues were more than just a sign of family tension. They were an important clue. Family disputes are often at the center of investigations into unexpected deaths, especially when significant assets are involved. Could Brooks' exclusion from the will have fueled a sense of betrayal, or was it simply a reflection of their personal breakdown? Despite Hogan's public persona as a proud father, the private reality was far more complicated. His history with infidelity, his strained relationship with Brooke, and the eventual separation from his second wife left emotional scars that never fully healed. But the ultimate question remained, did these unresolved family conflicts play a role in his death? Or was the tension within the family merely a symptom of a life lived in the public eye? Hulk Hogan's death wasn't entirely unexpected. The 71-year-old wrestling legend had lived through decades of physical punishment in the ring, surviving countless grueling matches and surgeries that took a toll on his body. But the reality was more complicated. Hogan's health had been in decline for several years. He had been diagnosed with leukemia, a serious blood condition that had been battling silently in his body. Along with atrial fibrillation, a heart arrhythmia that made his heart beat irregularly. Hogan's medical history painted a picture of someone quietly fighting a war behind the scenes. Despite these challenges, Hogan remained publicly upbeat and positive. He continued to train, promote wellness, and appear in public events, often telling fans that he was feeling healthier than ever. Just months before his death, Hogan had undergone a complicated 4-level cervical spine fusion surgery in May 2025, a procedure to repair years of damage caused by his wrestling career. At first, recovery seemed promising. Hogan, despite being older, was dedicated to meditation, clean eating, and a rigorous fitness regimen. His wife, Sky Daly, shared that Hogan was in the best shape he had been in years. Friends and family who had seen him battle past injuries remarked that his enthusiasm for life was revitalized. But the truth was that the spinal surgery, particularly the anterior cervical discectomy and fusion, ACDF, came with serious risks, especially at his age. Surgeons had warned Hogan that complications could arise, such as damage to the phrenic nerve, which controls the diaphragm and regulates breathing. If the nerve had been compromised, it could lead to sudden respiratory failure, which might explain why Hogan suddenly collapsed, despite his seemingly healthy state in the days leading up to his death. While Hogan's health had been in the spotlight for years, the complications from this surgery weren't fully realized until after his death. Could a botched surgery have triggered his sudden cardiac arrest? Was his body simply too fragile to recover from the years of wear and tear? The possibility of medical malpractice lingered in the background, with Sky Daly indicating plans to file a lawsuit. This raised further questions about whether the surgery had been a factor in his heart attack, and if so, how much blame should be placed on the surgeons who performed it. As investigators sifted through the physical evidence, their focus shifted to the digital forensics, Hogan's smart home devices, security logs, and communications. These would provide the most detailed and potentially revealing information about his final moments. Hogan's mansion wasn't just a home. It was a high-tech fortress filled with cameras, motion sensors, smart devices, and other digital systems designed to keep him safe. These devices had the ability to record everything from the times lights were turned on or off to the exact moments the security cameras were activated. Upon reviewing the security footage, investigators found a major discrepancy. The security system had been disabled manually by someone with access to Hogan's security panel. No unauthorized intruders had been detected, no signs of forced entry. Yet the entire system had been turned off hours before Hogan's death. This wasn't a random glitch or a system failure. Someone had physically entered the system and deliberately disabled the cameras and alarms. The problem, no one knew who. Hogan's wife, Sky Daly, insisted that she didn't know how the system was disabled. She had been in a different part of the house when emergency responders arrived. Yet the digital logs didn't indicate any unusual activity from the outside world. There were no signs of a cyber attack or hacking, only evidence that someone inside the house had manipulated the controls. The fact that no unauthorized access was found left investigators questioning who had such easy access to Hogan's most private, secure spaces. As the FBI's cybercrime unit dove deeper, the focus shifted to Hogan's smart home devices, thermostats, light switches, and voice-activated systems that he used daily. These devices often provide timestamps that can help create a timeline of events leading up to the incident. For example, did Hogan adjust the lights before he died? Was there any unusual activity recorded that could suggest someone moving around the house in the hours leading up to his death? Unfortunately, while data from the devices painted a picture of movement in the house, it didn't offer a definitive conclusion. Lighting and temperature changes weren't as helpful as they had hoped, but the security system data showed one key thing. Someone inside the mansion had disabled the alarm system. It's a question that has lingered throughout the investigation. Why did Hogan's security system need to be turned off? Was he trying to hide something? Or was someone trying to prevent him from leaving the house? Was it a sign of foul play? Or was it something much simpler? It was just a routine personal decision that went unnoticed until it was too late. As the investigation unfolded, the FBI's suspicions grew. The pieces of the puzzle simply didn't add up. Hogan's well-maintained health routine and his recent improvements didn't match the suddenness of his death. The FBI quietly expanded their probe, reaching out to Hogan's close friends, business partners, and anyone who might have insight into his recent dealings. Was there something Hogan had been involved with that could have led to his untimely demise? Had the FBI uncovered something hidden in his secret life, far removed from the wrestling ring? The investigation was getting more complex, but the answers remained elusive. Hulk Hogan's legacy as a wrestling icon will never be erased, but the mystery surrounding his death remains a puzzle. The FBI's ongoing investigation has yet to conclude, leaving fans and investigators alike asking, was his death truly the result of a heart attack, or were there darker forces at play? The discovery of the hidden room and the mysterious phone call before his death only fueled the suspicion. Was Hogan involved in something dangerous, or was someone from his past responsible for what happened inside his mansion? Until the final pieces fall into place, one question remains. What really happened in the hours leading up to Hulk Hogan's death? And who, if anyone, is responsible for the shadows that still loom over his final